Hello, everybody. It is good to be here on the webinar with you. We're going to give everyone a minute or so to log in, as we have many people registered. We just want to give everyone a chance to dial in and take part. But in the meantime, if you're already with us, then do go to slido.com. And if you use the hashtag #LocFuture, you should be able to put questions into the Slido as we go, and then we're going to make sure we leave some time for Q&A at the end of the talks from Alon and myself. Those of you that are interested in following some more webinars, we have a series of webinars this week. I'll repeat this again in a moment once everyone's kind of started, and the website to see those is just at the bottom there as well. Okay, so I think with that, we're up to 100 or so people live. The session is, of course, being recorded, and in the interest of time, we will get started. So, welcome again to the first in a series of webinars this week that we're doing to celebrate the September cadence release from Phrase. And it's a very exciting set of releases for us, particularly on the theme of AI. And Alon and I are going to talk about the bigger picture, the scene setting, some of the strategy behind this, and then the subsequent webinars later this week. Tomorrow is Phrase Language AI, Thursday is Phrase Custom AI, and Friday is Phrase Orchestrator and all the other goodies that we've just released. We'll go into a bit more detail on those things. So I'm your friendly neighborhood CEO, Georg, and Alon. Dr. Alon Lavie, who's joined us recently as VP AI Research, will of course be known to many people that are dialed into the call, and we'll be hearing from him later on. So just one more time, if you'd like to ask questions, please go to slido.com. You'll see a chance to put that hashtag in, #LocFuture, and there's also a direct link in the chat on Zoom if you'd like to just click on that and go directly to where you can enter your questions, and we'll tackle some of those at the end. Great. Well, what a year it has been for us. I think we did a webinar in September last year, and we had just launched the new Phrase brand. And it's been a very exciting, very busy 12 months since then. Of course, the new brand itself has now, I think, been firmly established in the landscape of localization technology, whilst there has been so much love expressed over that period for the MemSource brand and the Phrase brand as they were independently. I think now the whole industry has come to appreciate the single brand identity that we're moving forwards under. And that has a significant meaning in that we've developed a whole new suite and a suite approach, a suite mindset that you're going to see coming to life, hopefully, over the next few minutes of our presentation and in the next few weeks and months as we do more and more to bring the suite to life as well. And a new mission statement, which is broader than the company's had previously. And again, I think over the next 45 minutes or so, that will become clearer, and hopefully we can provide you with a bit more detail of the substance behind that. The new cadence operating model is perhaps something which is a little bit internal in some respects, but I think there are real world implications for our customers here. And the cadence, it's not something I invented. Actually, an old CEO of mine has written extensively about what he calls the cadence, an operating model for companies. And for us, what it means is a set of organizing principles inside the business that we adhere to with a very strong sense of discipline that allows us to be much more confident about what we release, when we release it, how we communicate that in advance to customers and partners, and how we communicate it, sort of broadly, and bring those communications together so that they have impact in the market. And I think it's been a very strong operating principle, organizing principle for us internally, and I think has built a lot of confidence internally, and also with our customers in our roadmap, and our when we say we're going to do something, that we actually come through. So that's the cadence. Some category defining new capabilities here at Phrase in our own TMS specific, TMS ready, TMS refined Phrase Next MT engine, the Phrase Orchestrator, which is our advanced workflow system, which is becoming extraordinarily proficient and powerful, with some amazing use cases being brought to life now with customers. Advanced analytics, bringing a lot more insight into the translation pipeline and the quality and the speed and the cost visibility across both enterprises and their LSP partners. And then now phrase language AI and phrase custom AI. So a lot more going on here at Phrase than 12 months ago, 24 months ago, when you sort of think back to the set of capabilities that we offered and how we brought them together. And of course, we'll get into the detail on that. And I'm very proud of our team. We recently had a photo shoot, which is a terribly humbling experience, very uncomfortable, I think, for me anyway. But as you can see, the team did a very good job of putting a brave face on this torturous process. But this picture is one that I was very, very proud of, because this is a team sport here at Phrase, and we're very proud of the team that we have, both at the C-suite level and then down throughout the organization, the layers of the organization, in our directors and our VPs, in our sort of frontline managers and the people that our customers interact with day to day. Our values are very important to us here at Phrase. I actually talk quite extensively about our values when I'm on calls with customers, which is not necessarily always what they expect, but they always get a few minutes from me on that, because I think it matters when you go into these long-term relationships. And one thing I think I'm proud of on this picture here is the continuity that you see with David, the founder of MemSource, still a board member for us here at Phrase, sitting on my right, our new chief product officer next to me, and then Alon on my left as VP AI research. And we see this continuity of the founder of MemSource and I hope not to embarrass Alon, but the world expert in his field, who joined us recently with a team of folks and are having a phenomenal impact as well, joining a strong team with a real mixture of industry experience and outside experience, which brings a great chemistry. So that's why I thought this team is very strong, and I think it's a unique team in the business, actually, and in the industry. So I thought I would pause for a moment on that. We operate so much of our product vision and roadmap and what we're doing in the context of a 5-year vision, which we've been articulating for a few months now. It started with a video I put up on LinkedIn a few months ago, which received an extraordinary response that I hadn't quite anticipated, and which we've been refining and articulating since then. And so the principles of that 5-year vision are in these 6 points. So the real-time nature of the internet. Well, let's start maybe from where we are today. Today, the internet is not real time. If we go to a website, the 130 or so people on this call, we all go to the same URL. We'll all get broadly the same experience, with small variations for localization and maybe the device that we're on. But if we then visit that website again 10 minutes later and again 10 minutes later and so on, we will get a very consistent experience. That, I think, will shift fundamentally as generative AI starts to deliver more meaningful value with higher quality in a more consistent way. And so I think we'll see an exponential shift. True, and really you have to think about exponential here, and an astronomical shift. It's not just 10x, 100x, 1000x the global volumes of words flying around the internet, but potentially a billion x or more. Count the stars in the heavens, x more volume of content. I think in that context there won't be one model. There won't be a sort of general generative AI that solves for all use cases with sufficient quality. There will be many, many models. There will be many types of models. There will be more probabilistic and less probabilistic models. There will be models that companies build themselves, or models that they take off the shelf. And how we help our customer base, both in the LSP context and the enterprise context, to navigate that plethora of models is one of the core defining principles for us as we think about this vision that we're building in, context that we're building in. This explosion of content means a lot of complexity. You've got many different sources that you need to be able to draw on in order to create the right content in real time, to have a truly hyper-personalized experience, as it says on the next point. This hyper-personalization driving really amazing opportunities for brands to engage with their customer base, and for companies to engage with their employees. So a huge amount of complexity for very hyper-personalized experience, requiring a lot of automation. However, now I'll jump to the 6th point. When you have a lot of volume, when you have a lot of quickly generated machine content in a highly complex environment, you still need to be able to have the right amount at the right moment of human interaction, human in the loop, to make sure that quality at the what's the word I'm looking for? The kind of extremity is maintained. So of course, machines are going to be playing a greater and greater part in the generation of content and in the conversion of content from one format into another and the localization of content. Of course, the percentage that machines do without heavy interaction or without even a light interaction will increase as a percentage. But we believe that as volumes grow, even a relatively smaller and diminishing percentage of human in the loop can still be a very high volume of human in the loop with a lot of complexity there and fast turnarounds required. And then, of course, this point in the middle at the bottom around cost efficiency, cost control, visibility, transparency in this complex world is key for businesses as they embrace the opportunities. Gone backwards. So there we go. That's the 5-year vision and context, which informs, of course, the mission. We wrote this mission when we brought the two brands together, Phrase and MemSource, that we believe when you unlock language, you unlock opportunity. That's the baseline. The mission is to open the door to global business, to give everybody access to the content they need in the language they speak. And there's meaning behind these words, and we'll come to it when we talk about phrase language AI and the announcements we've just made. Remember, I talked about giving everybody access to the content they need. And there we are. We're pushing the boundaries of language tech through automation, machine learning, with quality at its heart, scalability at its heart. We want fast localization for teams of any size. And I think when we wrote those words 12, 18 months ago, as is now, the case in the language technology industry, the pace of change is so fast, you can't always predict, but these words have held true. They've aged well. That's what I'm trying to say. They've aged very well the last year and a half. So ultimately, our vision is to address business value questions for our customers, to drive top line growth and bottom line impact. And there's many different ways that those two things can be measured. And we think, again, with the releases that we've done over the last few months, and we'll highlight, of course, some from September, that we'll see huge opportunities in exactly these two areas. So top line growth and bottom line impact. So let's start to get a little bit into the detail and put some substance together with this. So I wanted to first just capture for the audience the breadth of capability that is available today in the Phrase localization suite. So it's important to emphasize today, because this is not a roadmap slide. This is what we deliver today for customers. And you start to see the concept of the suite come to life on this slide, where you have such a broad range of capabilities available through Phrase. Customers can, of course, and many historically have done, started with one of these points and then grown the relationship with Phrase. But also customers have used Phrase for one of these workloads and then something else for other workloads that are on this page. And what we've started to see, and we start to believe is true, is that we can say something quite extraordinary at Phrase, which is that we are now offering a set of capabilities that are equivalent to a superset of multiple other companies and multiple other offerings out there. And so by concentrating those in a suite, allowing customers to use as much or as little of those as they wish, we're bringing together a sort of centralization of these technologies, which I think is in tune with the general trend towards centralization of locked departments, and also a close attention being paid to budget and efficiency. So we see everything from Phrase TMS on the left and Phrase strings on the right, underpinned with the layers of success, integrations, analytics, and powerful workflow, and increasingly the emergence of what we're calling the AI Hub, building on the last 5 years of AI capabilities that we've delivered through Phrase Translate, now rebranded as Phrase Language AI, and then September's announcement around what we're doing there and in custom AI as well. So this I think puts us in a position quite unique in the industry. There are companies in our industry that offer what they call a turnkey solution, software and services. Their phrase, not mine, but I'm happy for them to adopt it, because we don't offer that, and we strategically choose not to offer software plus services. We're very clear, we're very strategically focused on being a software business and not a services business. And I say this time and time again, because I think it's so important that customers and prospective customers and partners of ours understand that clarity of strategic focus. We believe in a universe of LSPs working together with enterprises. We believe in the power of software, and that's our strength. And we think there's a lot of opportunity for enterprises to pick and choose and work with one or multiple LSPs and make sure that they're getting the services that they require for their specific needs, and for us to be able to enable that relationship to work extremely successfully. So we're very clear on that. But we're also increasingly, I think, confident in saying that we offer a set of capabilities that is 80 to 90% of the capabilities of a superset of 6 types of other companies, and you can insert names into them, from TMS providers to website localization to workflow to machine translation aggregation. You can insert some names there. I won't do it here today, but happy to do it one-to-one. And we'll provide that superset of capabilities under one roof. And you can see that our vision is broad, founded in that, our suite is broad, our capabilities is broad, founded in that 5-year vision, which has at its heart this belief in an enormous explosion of AI-generated content requiring complex workflows to manage enormous scale. And you can see those 3 themes over and over and over again in what we do at Phrase and how we talk about these things at Phrase: AI, workflow, and scale. You'll see it in content we've put out: AI, workflow, and scale. You'll see it in product roadmap. So do remember those 3 things: AI, workflow, and scale. And another visual for how these things come together. Here, I would say we do everything on this slide today, but these are also the areas in which we're investing. So you see the sort of fundamental capabilities at the bottom. We want to unlock and open those capabilities up to be, composed and comprised into custom workflows using Phrase Orchestrator. We want an AI hub that allows for all of the power of all of the AI that's out there and the different models to be leveraged and appropriately used for the customer. And that's where Alon's going to speak a bit later on, with inputs and outputs to third-party systems, and then of course human review where required, on what will increasingly be a by exception basis, but against very large volumes. And then again, important brackets, not by Phrase, right? We're not a services company, so we are super duper clear on that. Now, why does all of this matter? We sort of scoured the internet and spoke to a variety of different people to find some really good data points here. And I think it's powerful stuff, particularly if you are a localization team that is justifying increased budgets and expenditures, and also trying to explain to your business executives, when you ask me what my strategy is on LLMs and ChatGPT and language, AI and so on, then what is the business case associated with those things? Well, we can see some brilliant data here. So ChargeBee and Price Intelligently, who do pricing software for tens upon tens of thousands of SaaS businesses, so really good broad data set from around the world, and they make this point that companies with great localization grow faster, right? So just very clear black and white data. More than half of customers in the middle, according to Harvard Business Review, think that information in their own language is more important than price. That must be music to the ears of the chief product officer, chief marketing officer, chief revenue officer of your company. More than 3/4 of consumers say they're more likely to go back to a brand if customer care is in their language. More than 80% of participants say they're more likely to buy a product if the information is in their language. And that, and in the middle at the bottom, Nimsy talk about the confidence that people have when they visit a website if they see that it's been well translated, well localized. There's nothing actually more off-putting than a poorly executed localization. And then finally, this point at the bottom right here, that even large companies often have under-localized, and they are leaving a huge addressable market on the table by failing to tackle the opportunity there. So some great, I think, third-party data. And then we wanted to bring a couple of live customer examples to this. So without using the names, these are customers that we've worked with, and I love both of these. First one, global manufacturing organization. They told us that less than 2% of their content is currently localized outside of English, but they have field service engineers that go out on site and repair big mechanical stuff in over 100 markets. Because their content is mostly in English, right, 98 point something in English, that reduces dramatically their ability to hire field service engineers in those 100 and something countries unless those engineers already speak English. So if you can go to Malaysia or Thailand or Vietnam or Brazil, Argentina, Chile, or even like Canada or Germany, and and say, right, we're now going to provide field service manuals in the local language. Now we can hire from a talent pool that where the first checkbox is not, does this person speak English, yes or no? The talent pool for hiring has just suddenly absolutely exploded, which means the cost for hiring can also reduce dramatically, the cost on external recruitment, probably the average salary per individual. This is music to the ears of the chief people officer, the VP for field service engineering, etc. So it's interesting because this isn't the typical example of let's translate a website. This is a very different real world, dirt under your fingernails engineering use case of localization to open up a business opportunity. I thought it was a great example of the power of this stuff. And then this one is a little bit more in the classic arena. This is a healthcare information business that provides its services in more than 20 languages. And the non-English speaking part of that is 60% of their revenue. And yet they are overwhelmingly English-centric in their localization. So they have started down the road, but they have not optimized, and they know it. And they're already, despite this, 60% of their revenue is in these non-English speaking markets. So they are saying to us, we know there's value on the table. If we can optimize this, we can see that the engagement per consumer of this service is much, much lower when it's not in English. And so if we could just mirror the level of engagement for the non-native English speakers with the English speakers in this market that's more than half of our TAM already, we have a huge business opportunity. No, it's exciting. Great. Well, with that, last year, I did a webinar and I promised these things. I talked about a future-proof platform built with scale in mind, cutting edge automation and machine translation. We talked already about AI, bringing experiences together, refreshing our user interface, and so on, integrations, analytics. That's what we talked about, building these building blocks of the suite. I think in everything I've just described, you can see we've delivered on that. We're continuing to build on many of the same principles. And the focus for these next 12 months, and probably longer than that as well, is going to be those three building blocks that, if you remember nothing else from today, I'd like you to remember what's Phrase doing. It's doing these three things: AI, workflow, and scale. So key releases for September, before I hand over to Alon: Phrase Language AI, which is a rebrand from Phrase Translate to better articulate the value that it brings and where we're taking it. We've opened up now API access to this, which means that everybody in the business, going back to the mission statement, everyone access to the content they need in the language they speak. Every single employee in a business can now have access to a high quality, company approved machine translation portal where they can drop their content and get it back translated by machine without human post editing at high quality in seconds, right? This opens up the opportunity enormously for enterprises, because today only a fraction of the potential content to be localized actually flows through the localization team, because historically it has been inefficient economically. It's too expensive and too slow to put everything that one could possibly wish to translate or localize through a localization team in a human review process. This opens up that opportunity to every employee in a company. So imagine doing learning and development in your native tongue, in how much better the learning experience is for your sales team in those markets over there, or your field service engineering teams in those markets over there that are not native speakers in the originating language. Phrase Custom AI is a brand new capability. This is truly a game changer, and everyone that has seen this, and you must see it, is incredibly excited. A really easy user interface for a localization team to build their own custom MT engine. And what has historically taken weeks or months of highly specialized skills and very expensive, you can do in hours. We're taking weeks to months to hours. This is a absolute game changer for the ability for any company to build its own custom MT engine and then deploy that engine as one of the options available through Phrase Language AI, and with the API, make that engine available to every employee in the business. And so you could build a specifically tuned engine for the legal team, specifically tuned engine for R&D or another team, and make that available. And finally, Phrase Orchestrator continues to evolve, continues to get stronger. And we now have a library capability with workflows that are pre-populated, pre-built in, so that any of our customers can go and look at those for inspiration and say, where might I take this? Rather than starting from a blank sheet of paper, we've got some templates, and then we've also unlocked some of the some new capabilities to do things at greater scale with file handling and so on. So it's pretty exciting, but we'll get into the detail of those on the subsequent webinars this week. And on that note, I will hand it over to Alon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Georg. You provided really the background and the context of what I briefly wanted to do next, which is just to give a high-level overview and a kind of strategic view on what we have coming up in the area of developing AI technologies here at Phrase. So if you could move to the next slide. So yeah, I wanted to really start by kind of just couching what we see happening and where we see the most value for the AI that we are committed to developing here. And as you've seen from everything that Georg just presented, we see our Phrase platform really being the foundation for allowing enterprises to dramatically accelerate their ability to scale and to automate the delivery of content localized in all of the languages that they need in this new world that's evolving with content exploding and LLMs coming into the picture. So the way we're viewing our AI research mission is that as the AI landscape shifts towards this ecosystem of LLMs, we're going to basically evolve our product suite to provide a platform that allows us to leverage and integrate technologies that are based largely on, increasingly on LLM technology, but not by just basically expecting an LLM to solve the entire translation localization problem wholesale, but by introducing best-in-class LLM-based features that solve genuine customer problems at specific points in the complex workflows that our Phrase platform is going to support. And fundamentally, our key vision about this, or our key focus is on driving automation to the upper ceiling and optimizing the use of human translators fundamentally to just where they are most valuable and most needed without slowing down our enterprise's ability to generate and localize content at a massive scale. So our AI hub, or what we're thinking of as basically the collection of all of the AI work that we're developing and then putting into the product, is going to provide a framework fundamentally for understanding, interpreting, and acting on translation quality issues that seeks to minimize the risk of optimizing and scaling up automation for our customers by leveraging some of these emerging new LLM-based solutions and other solutions that we've already been developing and using quite successfully. So the key observation to this, or where we're really focusing, particularly as you'll see over the next 6 to 12 months, is on really doubling down on a particular area of technology that has been emerging and that we've already been leveraging quite successfully here at Phrase, but has greatly been evolving and introduces significant new opportunities going forward. And that's the idea of automated quality evaluation as a key to unlocking fully automated and scalable localization workflows. So developing new capabilities and new technology, some of which is based on LLM, some of which is based on fundamentally the earlier, somewhat smaller but more dedicated large language model technology for measuring and making decisions based on quality information throughout the entire Phrase platform and all the different steps in the workflow, and you'll see the details of this. But the context for this is, again, what you've already heard, that this process of hyper automation is basically enables our customers to quickly expand and grow and support their growth strategies, which is driving dramatically increasing volumes, and that by necessity means that the large fraction of this content has to be processed fully automatically. So machine translation and other automated tools present a risk of inconsistent and reliable output as a result of this. And but basically currently that's a roadblock for most of our customers, because effectively managing that risk currently depends on human intervention, which basically brings that hyper automation capability to a halt. So it forces our enterprise customers to maintain human-intensive workflows and quality feedback loops that are currently purely reactive. And what we're looking to do really is to kind of flip that on its head and basically support largely, increasingly large fractions of the content to be processed fully automatically, but with full quality visibility and actual components that help make decisions about what portions of content are actually translated automatically at quality levels that are sufficient to go out without human intervention, and then focusing the human work on the rest and on what is necessary. So we're largely focused in the next few months on developing automated quality evaluation that is both interpretable by humans and actionable as the essential missing piece that will allow enterprise customers to proactively monitor and control quality at scale in localization workflows that are supported by our Phrase platform. And what this will do then, so basically three main outcomes of this. One is automated scoring, the other is automated routing, and the third thing is basically identifying content that can automatically be fixed. And LLMs will play a role in all three of these main things. So yes, if you could move forward now. What we have here in the center is basically a totally abstract workflow that has the complexity that you will see in typical workflows that you can configure on our Phrase platform. And the capabilities that we're developing here, the new AI capabilities, were basically allow our customers to define these workflows, particularly with the right level of automation that we'll be introducing, supporting, and configure them with settings and metrics and thresholds that allow the automation for specific content types while managing the risks that that automation involves, generating all the access tokens required for integrations. So that's kind of on the front end. And then through these types of workflows, you'll be able to get interpretable metrics, examine any flagged issues, do deep dives into quality issues, update these workflows as necessary, and get aggregate information about the ROI. And the key to this is that we'll have deployed workflows that are largely self-maintaining and easy to use, and they have specifically configured quality checks that automatically route content through the flow and alert the program managers at our customer side to where the quality issues are, and provide full transparency as to the quality that they're deriving by using these things at scale. So if we can dive in on the next slide a little bit more in here. I'm not going to go in detail in all the different steps, but you can see that this is basically a typical, fairly complex workflow that's supported through our Phrase platform through TMS and Orchestrator. And what I really want to focus here are the diamond sort of components that have been largely will be newly introduced here that have to do with this quality technology that we're focused on developing. So key to this is that you see machine translation in the middle there, which is also going to be, supported by the suite of products that we already have and some new ones that we'll be introducing. But the main new thing that you see there is this quality check that's happening after machine translation, which is going to actually implement a routing decision point. And every piece of content that's now going through this workflow will have detailed quality information supported by this upgraded new quality technology that we're developing that will allow a decision about whether that piece of content can continue fully automatically and be delivered back to the customer, or it needs to be diverted for some form of human intervention. If it does get diverted for human intervention based on detailed quality information, we will introduce, again, an additional sort of segmentation there where we can do a deep dive error analysis using LLM technology about what those quality issues that were identified really are like, whether they're critical quality issues or less than critical or more minor issues. And we'll have the ability basically to, for critical issues or things that require more attention, actually divert to human editing and human review. And some errors that are identified will be largely addressed by new automated AI-based correction and editing that we will develop down the road. So you see here basically three main concepts that are kind of in those red blocks. The idea of AI first or ML first, where AI really drives the entire workflow, automated translation, automated quality evaluation, configurable requirements. So the threshold and the exact places where these decisions are made are controllable individually by customers for different content types. And the manual human involvement is really focused to where it's most needed. So just one more point, again, connecting this back to LLMs. So where do LLMs actually play a role in all of these places that we're introducing new technologies in this workflow? And you can see that it's not in one place, it's actually in multiple places. So we'll do some significant work on source, on evaluating the quality of the source and identifying quality issues with respect to the source. And we'll leverage LLM technologies there. Machine translation, we'll have a tiered ecosystem of enhancing the solutions that we have today with some new LLM-based machine translation options. The quality checks that we do are also largely going to be based on technology that leverages LLMs. And then the detailed error analysis is also going to be largely leveraging LLMs. And there are other places down the road where LLMs will play a role. But again, it's not really one place. It's the value of LLMs is by using them in sophisticated intelligence points across the entire workflow, across the entire platform. So maybe just to wrap this up, what we see really happening in terms of our AI focus over the next couple of cadences going into the first half of 2024 is that we'll focus on new AI technology that is designed to measure quality throughout the Phrase platform and allow then our customers through our product new innovations to leverage these quality insights in the design and the control of their workflows. And we see this happening in 4 steps. Concretely, what we're working on already now for this cadence, we're developing a new method for calculating quality scores. These are going to be numeric values, but we're anchoring that on the commonly used LQA framework of MQM 2.0. MQM, for those of you who don't know, is multi-dimensional quality metrics, which will make these scores far more interpretable and understandable by our customers. This new framework and will be used to train QE models that will upgrade our current MTQE models to generate scores that are aligned again with MQM and allow us to score every piece of content that flows through the Phrase workflow with these new models. And then these refined new MTQE scores will be used as conditionals in Orchestrator, as you saw me articulating on the previous slides, both for evaluating source quality, but most importantly for evaluating translation quality and making then routing decisions based on that. And the impact of that, the aggregate impact, including looking at the actual distributions of quality of projects that are delivered and impacts of thresholds, et cetera, will all be new capabilities that are going to be shown in our advanced analytics. So customers will have full agency and visibility over the quality of all of their localized and translated content. So that's basically it with respect to the vision. I think I'm going to stop here so that we have enough time to address questions from the audience, but that hopefully gives you guys a picture of where we're going. Thank you.
Thanks, Alon. So we have some questions here, and I'm just going to try and make sure I can see them all. Okay. Do we see a shift in how large enterprises see localization? Yes, I think so. I think that we are in an exciting time in language technology. I think the advent of ChatGPT certainly has put language tech on the agenda for many business executives when it wasn't necessarily there before. I think in our industry, and I remember making this joke slightly painfully on stage in San Jose at Lockworld last year, that we're often seen as an afterthought in a sort of production pipeline coming out of product or marketing. And, you know, I tested that word afterthought at a variety of customer dinners and so on. And somewhat painfully, a lot of people nodded and smiled and said, yeah, that can often be the experience. And I think that is starting to change, because suddenly every business executive is also being asked by their board what the strategy is for AI, and in particular language AI, because ChatGPT is the canonical example for a lot of people who have had less hands-on experience with these things before. So there's suddenly, it's like the first mass scale consumerization experience, if you like. So I think that is happening. There's just more questions being asked and a greater appreciation of the potential value. I think what we're seeing in companies that are a little further down the journey is more centralization. So where there has been fragmentation either through M&A activity or just a proliferation of these teams over time, we're seeing those teams centralized. We're seeing the tool selection centralized more as well. And we're seeing, of course, more focus on unit costs as well. And I think that is natural, particularly as volumes grow. You know, unit economics need to get better and better. So I think large enterprises are seeing it increasingly as a strategic opportunity where they want to own their destiny and not outsource it all. And they want to use the best cutting edge tools to be able to leverage and provide answers internally as well on their use of AI internally. So I think those are some of the biggest shifts. Space is changing fast. How do we ensure enough flexibility to adapt? Well, I think the first one is fundamentally you have to, I think we have chosen to take a strategic neutrality, a kind of not placing major bets on any particular vendor, and we would strongly recommend customers also don't do that either, right? So you might be tempted to say, today I've done my research and the best MT engine for most, if not all, of the language pairs I use frequently is X, and I'm going to just consolidate my efforts with this one engine. And I think that is a choice that will have a very short half-life. And what we'll see is more engines coming up. We've just seen headlines of Amazon investing in Anthropic. This space is going to change very, very quickly. And engine selection and neutrality and that focus on quality that Alon was just articulating, that's our strategic bet. That's sort of point one around flexibility. Point two is localization looks similar from the outside for a lot of enterprises. You could line up 10 S&P 500 companies and say, what's the localization needs? And generically, they might look broadly similar. But when you get into the implementation, they all look different. And so that's where we believe phrase orchestrator and custom workflows and appreciating, embracing the complexity, and the scale is so important. And therefore, that's the second of our big investment areas. So I think, embracing the complexity of the workflow, embracing the need for quality at every stage, and then adaptation dynamically or making the best of all the different engines. And then the final two questions here focused on Arabic languages. I know we support Arabic language in both TMS and strings. I don't believe we do Arabic yet in phrase next MT, but of course, many of the other third-party engines that we support through phrase language AI do. And that's one of the important things. We're not going to try and do every language pair with phrase next MT, although we will grow the number of language pairs. In the September cadence, we've just released English Japanese and English Swedish, which I know was particularly valued in for our Japanese customers, and very excited to deliver that, as I said we would when I visited Tokyo earlier this year. And that's the power of the cadence. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll forever be dynamically assessing the quality of the variety of third-party engines. We'll be allowing the company to build a custom engine where PhraseNext-MT supports those language pairs, and try and sort of manage quality that way across the range of engines. Yeah, I think that's about what I can say on Arabic. So I think we promised we'd finish in 45 minutes. We're 46 minutes in, which isn't too bad, and we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to hear from you soon. Happy to go into more detail on these things with executives for our current customers, or for our prospective customers, and of course we've got the whole team standing by to engage as well. So thanks for your time. Speak soon.